Ready to dominate at the plate? Blast Baseball is trusted by more major league and college teams than any other hitting solution. The Blast sensor attaches to the knob of any bat, providing real-time feedback with every swing. Go to blastmotion.com and enter code NOWD1 at checkout to save $25. All right, everybody, it is 9 o'clock. Let's get right into it. We do this show every Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern on X Spaces. I'm Alan Gay, and this is Now D1 Speaks. We got a great show for this evening, man. It's a show that I've absolutely been looking forward to. We've got assistant coach with Cal State Fullerton. He's a former MLB scout. We got Coach Belovsky with us. Hey, Josh, are you there?
I'm here, Alan.
Hey, man, thank you so much for joining. I think we're going to have a fantastic night tonight. Hey, why don't you kind of get things started for us and just kind of give us an idea, where did you play baseball? And ultimately, what really kind of got you into scouting and coaching?
Well, first off, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I grew up in Southern California, and obviously, you know, it's a great place for baseball. Growing up, I was exposed to a lot of great programs and, you know, MLB teams, and just had a love for the game. And I was fortunate enough to play beyond high school. Obviously, not quite ready for the Division I level, but I did play junior college baseball, which is out here in Southern California as well. So I played at Orange Coast College for 1 year, and then my second year I was injured, and then I transferred over to Cypress College and played there, and then eventually went to Texas Tech. And then my senior year, I played at the University of Kansas. So I kind of was a bit of a vagabond, you know, got to experience some different programs, different coaches, which I think helped, you know, lead me to where I am now, but also give me an opportunity to incorporate, you know, a lot of those skill sets and philosophies that those guys had and kind of make it my own. But, yeah, and then once I got done playing, I actually did not get drafted, which I was hoping to, and started a coaching career when I was, you know, right out of college. I started coaching over at Orange Coast College with John Altobelli, who's no longer with us, but I got an opportunity with him, and then went and coached a summer ball team and was able to pitch a little bit just because they didn't really have any rules on that, even though I didn't have any eligibility. And then I came back and tried out for a independent ball team, threw well, and then signed with the Red Sox. So my coaching career got derailed for about 4 years when I played pro ball, and then got back into it once I was done playing.
Man, that's a big time rundown. Thank you so much. So, all right. So you were a pitcher.
I was.
All right. So right-handed, left-handed?
Right-handed.
Right-handed. Kind of give us just some measurements, man. When you came out of high school, what was your height and weight? Can you remember?
Yeah, I can, because I was pretty much, you know, a fungo. I was 6'3", 165 pounds, threw probably about 83 miles an hour, but I could really pitch, spin a curveball, you know, just kind of had a knack to know how to pitch. Just didn't have that, you know, the velocity that I needed for, you know, to be a D1 pitcher at that time.
Gotcha. Okay. But yeah, hey, the 6'3" piece was huge. So I've got to ask you, all right, so man, all right, so you went through your entire college career, came back, kind of coached a year, then did a little bit of pitching, which led to the independent league, which actually ultimately led back to the pros. So this is, 6 years after you graduate high school, 7 years, something like that. Kind of give us a feel when you first went to the Red Sox. Give us some measurements then. What was your height and weight at that point?
I finally had reached 200 pounds, so I got some man strength. You know, I finally developed. I was just, you know, one of those kids that was a late bloomer, you know, which happens a lot. You know, you see a lot of guys that commit early, and they're usually the bigger, stronger, more physical kids, and then the ones that are, you know, weaker and not quite at that physical maturity level, you know, they pass a lot of those guys. And that was the case for me. I was able to, you know, continue to play at a level and continue to get better, and then finally, you know, maximize once I did get that man strength.
I love that. And what was your velocity at that point as well, just as you were signing with the Red Sox?
Well, it's funny. I'd always been a starting pitcher, and they kind of in independent ball transitioned me into being a closer. So I was never, a flamethrower. I was always a pitchability guy. I learned a split finger fastball. That was kind of my bread and butter. I think, I kind of missed that the TrackMan days and all that stuff where
Right.
I might have been an outlier type, but I was able to gain a little bit of velocity. On a good day, I'd be 93, but I was a sinker guy. So I'd sit in that 90, 92 range, throw that split finger and just get guys to pound the ball on the ground.
Man, I love it. That's good stuff right there. Thank you so much. So I'm just trying to make sure I've kind of got the ages right. So about the time you would have hit the Red Sox, you would have been maybe 23-ish, 24.
Yeah.
And then, okay, perfect. And you were there 4 years. So maybe around 28 was when you transitioned out of pro ball.
Yeah, I got 2 years with the Red Sox, sniffed Double-A for a minute, was actually a Florida State League All-Star pitcher. It was just kind of getting where, like you said, I was getting older. I was starting, got married, was beginning a family, and just felt like it wasn't fair to my wife and my future daughter that, I'm running around chasing her dream and she's there trying to raise our family. So I played one last year up in Chico for Charlie Kerfeld, who was a major league pitcher, and did well there. And he was telling me I'd have an opportunity to sign with another organization, but I was ready to get my life going and get my coaching career going. And that's what I did. I went back to Cyprus and coached 1 year, and then ended up at Orange Coast College back over there as the pitching coach and recruiting coordinator. And then, and then that's when the scouting ended up going that route.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. So did you go straight from Orange Coast to like the Brewers, or was there some steps that were in between that?
No, I was, they have associate scouts, which is kind of a bird dog. It's not a paid position. I was doing that for the Rockies a little bit. I always had interest in scouting. Just, you gotta know someone, get your foot in the door. And, with the Brewers, it was a situation that they had an opening. The area scout that had the Southern California area was promoted, and he was looking, for some candidates, and my name had popped up a couple of times. So he sought me out, and, it was an opportunity where I could, work one job. I was, working at Orange Coast, running the Connie Mack team, working for a city, running their softball league. So I had 3 jobs going. I was working on a master's degree. So to be able to take on one job, that seemed like the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you had a family as well. So how old were you at that point when you really transitioned over to the Brewers?
To the Brewers, I want to say I was 30. I was in my early 30s when I joined the Brewers, and I was with them for 15 years. So.
Wow. Okay. That is obviously a very, very long time, but man. So let me ask you something. Did you get your master's, or did it really just not even need to come into play at that point?
No, I actually did finish. That was part of when I got hired, I said, hey, I'm in this master's program, and, I'm almost done. And they were okay because the classes were on Monday nights and there wasn't a lot going on that, games or anything on Mondays. So I was able to balance it out and get it done. So it's, definitely an accomplishment that I was proud of, being able to get done.
That's a huge accomplishment. I mean, that's something that you'll be able to carry on to your daughter that you were talking about. And I don't know if you've had other kids as well, but my goodness, that's setting a standard right there. And I know that you're aware of this, Josh. I mean, our core audience is really uncommitted high school, college, transfer players that are really looking for an opportunity to continue their career or get to the next level, whatever it may be. But ultimately, one of the big pieces that really drives them is academics. I mean, and you can speak to this, I know. It doesn't matter how talented you are or how good you are. I mean, at some point, your career is going to end in baseball or really any sport. And that degree, that's going to take you so far. And the lessons, there's just the life lessons that you learn in a sport, especially like baseball. It just gives you the opportunity to really flourish and to just kind of be a productive person. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just so impressed that you continue down that path and got your master's as well. Can I take it that you graduated your undergraduate, was it at Kansas or was it at Texas Tech?
No, honestly, it was at Cal State Fullerton. I came back home after Kansas, and got back into coaching and knew I needed to get my undergrad degree, and Fullerton was right up the road. So I came and ironically got my degree in kinesiology from Cal State Fullerton.
Man, that's so awesome. I tell you what, man, exercise science type degree like that's big time. That's a ton of biology. What'd you get your master's in?
It was coaching and athletic administration. So, that was the goal from before I got into scouting, is I wanted to be a coach. And so while I was doing my master's, that was the path I was going on. And now full circle, I'm using it.
Man, that's big time, man. Thank you so much. I know that, hey, for anybody that's kind of dialing in, thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you for supporting Coach Belovsky as well. And I know, you know what, we don't know each other. I reached out and just said, hey, do you want to hop on this podcast? And Coach Belovsky was just gracious enough to say, yes, absolutely, I'm going to do it. And he had no idea that I was going to kind of walk through, how did you get to this point right here? And I got to tell you, man, I really appreciate that rundown. Just gives us a sense of who you are and the type of person you are. So, man, thank you so much. That was really big time stuff. As you're talking about your coaching philosophy and kind of how it's developed over the years, talk to us just a little bit about that philosophy and really how it aligns with Cal State Fullerton.
Well, I think, Fullerton's got a tradition that goes way beyond. I mean, started with Augie Garrido and all the great coaches that have been here, Coach Horton, Coach Vanderhook, Coach Serrano. We're not trying to do anything different other than what, the groundwork that they laid. I think, to be a Titan's always kind of been a badge of honor. And for me to be here as one of the coaches and one of the leaders, I'm just so appreciative of what they did. And for us, like I said, it's just, to be a Titan is just about, working hard, putting your head down, paying attention, doing the little things, the details, just playing the game of baseball the right way, and just respecting the game. And, really it sounds simple, but that's kind of been the recipe here. And, I think it speaks for itself.
Absolutely. Fantastic history at Cal State Fullerton. No question about that. So just really given your experience in scouting and recruiting and thinking about kind of our core audience, I mean, what is it really, what is it that you're looking for in regards to key qualities and attributes that could really make a successful college baseball prospect?
I think there's two parts. There's the physical part. We're looking for the tools. We're looking for the run, the throw, the speed, the accuracy, power, contact, all those things that you can see with your eyes. But then we're also looking for the intangibles, and that's the work ethic. That's the makeup, how you treat your teammates, how you, not only your teammates, but the staff, your coaches, your teachers, all that stuff is factored in when we're looking for future Titans. And, I think a lot of programs would say the same. You want guys that are, pulling from the same rope and that, have the same goals in mind, while at the same time, obviously being competitive and wanting to play and those things, but also just understanding what it takes for a team. It takes every guy on our roster, and it's not, just the starting guy, or because you never know who's going to come in and pitch a big, meaningful inning in Omaha, or get a big hit in a regional. So it takes everyone. We preach that a lot. But, also I think the academics, that's another factor that we look at. So it's not just, your batting average. Everyone thinks, you're looking at stats. Yeah, that's a piece of it. But at the end of the day, you're looking for well-rounded people, athletes, and, that fit the mold. And if they, if we do find red flags that, hey, they don't go to class, they treat people, they're very disrespectful, they have off the field issues, we're going to pass on that type of player.
Hey, to everyone that's listening, just thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the support of Now D1. And again, thank you for the support of Josh Belovsky. We absolutely appreciate it. If you did get in late this evening, don't worry about it. We record this space. And one of the reasons that we record it is so that we can retweet it out later in its entirety, and you'll be able to hear the entire interview. And again, we're with Cal State Fullerton assistant coach Josh Belovsky. And let me ask you, saying that, hey, this is your second year there. It kind of give us a sense of what are you guys looking at this year? You feeling pretty confident going into the season?
Yeah, we're very excited. You always are, looking at what you have and evaluating it. I think that's what the fall is for, to evaluate. We have a lot of new players. We have a lot of young players. When we came in, a lot of recruiting's done a year or two ahead. So this is really the first year that, we have our recruiting class that we built from top to bottom. So we're excited to see what they can do. And they have challenges ahead of them. And, they know what's at stake. They know what this program is about and what they signed up for. And, like I said, we're excited to evaluate them this fall, and there's a lot of opportunities and jobs to be won. So it's going to be, we expect a really competitive fall. We're excited to see these guys in action, and we get to inter-squad on Friday and Saturday. So I'm excited.
It's just amazing how quickly it comes every year. That's good stuff, man. So kind of thinking about you and the way you transitioned back. I mean, you were a scout, I think you said, for right at 15 years or so. And what really led you to kind of transition from that experience of scouting back into coaching? And then once you did that, how do you think you're really going to be able to position yourself and leverage the skills that you have as a former major league scout to really be able to identify talent and to be able to help promote that talent as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that, it doesn't change from a scouting perspective. I run into a lot of my former, colleagues and scouts, and, they scout our players. So, when we're out looking for players for Cal State Fullerton, it doesn't really change. I still have, looking for the type of players that I would for the Milwaukee Brewers. But, obviously, you're not going to get a lot of those guys. But at the same time, you need to be able to project and, kind of see into the future, so to speak, of what these guys are really going to be. And the transition, honestly, it was a little different because now I'm doing, some different administrative stuff and housing and admissions and different things that I hadn't done. Before I was writing a lot of reports on players and, having meetings and different things like that. But I think the transition's been pretty good. I mean, I had a coaching background. I've been on the field, even throughout my time with the Brewers. I'm sure some people are familiar with the area code games. The Brewers, we had, and they still do have, the Southern California team. So I used to manage that team and, run the tryouts for that and select the team. So I was still getting some on the field time and in the dugout. And we also ran a scout team out there. So I think being on the field was something that I still got a little taste of, but at the same time, being back in uniform and being back on the field wasn't really that much of that far removed for me.
Absolutely. And can I ask you how you came back to Cal State Fullerton? I mean, it's just incredible. That's where you ended up getting your undergraduate degree and then had the opportunity to go and coach there. I mean, was it something that just kind of fell into your lap and it just seemed like the timing was right? Or how did that come about?
Yeah, I would say a bit of timing, but also a relationship that I had with Coach Dietrich. Him and I, when I was a junior college coach at Orange Coast College, he was at Irvine Valley. So we, ran into each other a lot out on the recruiting trail and also competed against each other. And, we were recruiting a lot of the same players and kind of had those battles and just built a, really good friendship throughout the years. And then, I followed him around, and he was previously the pitching coach here at Cal State Fullerton when I was scouting. So I would talk to him about information about players, and then he went to the University of Oregon with Coach Horton, and I was actually doing the West Coast for the Brewers at that point, so I would see him throughout Oregon, and then he went out to East Carolina. We obviously stayed great friends, and then when he got the job to be the head coach, he reached out and asked me if that was something I'd be interested in, and he was putting together a list of names, and he wanted to see if that was even something I would entertain. So kind of went from there, but I'm just fortunate, that we had that relationship, and you just never know where this game can bring you. And, that's one of the biggest things that I've learned throughout my time in baseball is, relationships are a big piece of it. And, just treating people well and getting to know people can help out in the long run.
Amen. I was just sitting here the whole time you were talking. I just kept thinking how incredible it is. Baseball is really all about relationships. Thinking back to your career, the stops that you had right after your prep career and went into college, 4 different stops. I'm sure you had an opportunity probably during that period of time, and while you were in high school, you probably interacted with lots of college coaches. You know what I mean? And maybe those relationships at that time didn't work out, but who knows what's going to come along later. And I think it's just so important, again, just kind of thinking about our audience and the way you brought it up earlier, Coach Belovsky, about makeup and just the way you treat people. I think it's absolutely key as an uncommitted prospect to really treat people in an upstanding, certainly coaches, just in an upstanding manner with as much professionalism as you can. Because I got to tell you, if you're a high-end athlete, don't ever look down on a division that you think is below you, because you never know where that coach may end up the next year or 2 years or wherever. I think you just need to treat everybody with the honor that you can, and just realize how fortunate you are to be in a position to play a great game like baseball.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I sat back and, I look at my path, and at the time I'm like, man, I'm bouncing around and this is probably not a great look. And, nothing because of anything I did. But now, after I got to, you kind of sit back and reflect on things, and I was fortunate to be around so many good baseball minds. And at the time I didn't realize, but, like I said before, I was able to, take something from this coach and that coach, and, just learn a lot of different stuff and kind of, make it into my own. But, you just never know. And that's one thing I've always learned in life is that, you don't know what's ahead of you. You think you think you have it all figured out, planned out, but especially in the game of baseball, things are changed. And, I have a lot of friends that are in pro ball and in college baseball, and, unfortunately they lose jobs, and, they can get connected through some relationship, or somebody knows somebody and might get you an interview. Just so that's why you just never know. And just always, like you said, you might be at one level, and then the next year you're playing for somebody that you didn't think you were going to play for.
No question, man. This is just an awesome night, man. Just thank you so much, Coach, for hopping on. Absolutely appreciate it. This is really fantastic information. I know you're going to touch a lot of families out there. And hey, man, I just absolutely appreciate you being on here. One thing that, it was really interesting when we were kind of talking about you transitioning from being a scout to a coach. You were kind of talking about the players that potentially you would recruit. Heck, you know how to scout. And one of the things, I think the way you kind of phrased it, it was almost like when you were scouting for the major leagues, you were really kind of scouting the talent that they have today. And I think with recruiting a little bit in the college levels, you kind of made the point. It's like, where could they be? What might they turn into, or where are they going to end up? There's a lot of projection that kind of goes into that as well. With that in mind, just kind of give us some insight into player development. What's the expectation for a high school guy when he gets on the college and on the college campus, college field? How is he really going to be developed by the coaches and so forth?
That's something we pride ourselves in. I think this program's always done a good job. If you look, we've had 72 major leaguers here at Cal State Fullerton, and, more and more are going to show up. But, they didn't come in as, highly touted guys, but they learned, like I said, the game of baseball, and they pay attention to detail and do the little things that I think, it's crazy how if you watch MLB, it's changed a lot with, all this data and all this analytics. And, I think they went away from fundamental baseball, but now in the playoffs, I'm seeing it show up a lot more. I'm seeing bunts, I'm seeing steals, I'm seeing guys hit behind runners, just a lot more situational, which is great to see because that's really, the basis of our game and how it's always kind of been played. But, I think those are the things that are going to be, demanded and implemented. And that's how you get better is you rep out, you do the fundamentals on a daily basis. And, you just emphasize it and continue to work on it, along with obviously getting in the weight room, getting stronger, working on the mental game. That's another piece that a lot of people do not, focus on enough is this game's really hard. And if you don't have the mental capacity or the, just able to brush things off and you just carry it around with you, it's gonna weigh on you. So, just working the fundamentals and continually work every day. Work. Practice is key.
It's good stuff. Again, everybody that's joining, thank you so much for being here. We absolutely appreciate your support. I mentioned earlier that we record this space so that we can retweet it out. We also record it because we turn it into a podcast, and that podcast is Now D1 Speaks. And it is available on every platform imaginable, from YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Google, all the independents. It's out there. And I got to tell you, it's actually gotten quite popular. It's a pretty good little forum. We really have an opportunity to match uncommitted prospects with college coaches. Gives them an opportunity to hear from coaches like we're hearing tonight, and also for the coaches to be able to have an opportunity to hear from prospects. And one of the things that we really focus on with the prospects is not so much their achievements on the field. It really is all about their makeup and what it is that they're doing. As Coach mentioned earlier, it's really, what kind of person are they when they face adversity on the field? How do they treat their coach? How do they treat their teammates? What are they doing in the weight room? What are they doing in the classroom? And I think it just gives these prospects an opportunity to really put at ease some of the doubts a coach may have. If a college coach comes to watch you play, I will guarantee you they know you know how to play baseball. The one thing they may be concerned about is, what are you going to do when you're not on the field? And I think Now D1 Speaks just kind of gives these guys a little bit of an opportunity to say, hey, I know how to handle my business off the field, so that when we get on the field, Coach, we can worry about winning baseball and just getting better. Hey, again, Cal State Fullerton assistant coach Coach Belovsky is with us tonight. He's doing a fantastic job. Just really appreciative of him being here. Let me ask you something about Cal State Fullerton again. Just kind of give us, hey, you completed last year. Just kind of give again, our core audience, just kind of a sense of what's the day-to-day life like for a student athlete in season? What are they going through?
In season is wild. We play a weekend series, so you play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday is usually off. And then you play a Tuesday game. So, and then you're turn around and, practice Wednesday and Thursday. And then depending on travel, we're fortunate, we're more of a commuter league where, we don't have a lot of long trips. We usually try to go somewhere, where we can challenge ourselves. And we went to TCU last year and we go to Hawaii every other year. But for the most part, and then you're trying to balance school. So, in the fall is you can the freshmen really get challenged, with the workload of school and also, the baseball. But in the spring, it's a different animal because, you're out on that field quite a bit playing games and late nights, with Tuesday night games, and you might have a test the next day. So you got to learn how to balance. You got to learn how to, have good time management skills. So we really emphasize on that. And, but yeah, it's an adjustment. You'll see the freshmen struggle a little bit, but, usually they come around and figure things out. But, it's not just some walk in the park. You got to be able to balance your life a little bit.
Good stuff, man. Thank you for walking through that. And let me ask you also, how can a prospect really get on your radar? And I'm thinking about a couple of things. I mean, hey, you obviously know how to scout, but you can only go to so many baseball games. I mean, you can't get to every game every day. You have to have some really trusted relationships again that you count on. And then I'm sure you also have some camps where you can put eyes on people doing things that you necessarily want them to do. But what would it take really for a guy to get on your radar? And then at the same time, maybe what's a couple of red flags or one red flag that the guys really need to be careful about so that, they are the type of person that you're attracted to?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, there's a lot of events out there that we cover, and then there's a lot that we can't. We just ended a recruiting cycle where we are not allowed to go out until March 1st. So we cannot go off campus and evaluate. We can have, like you said, we can have prospect camps, team camps where players are able to come and attend, and we're able to have them on campus and evaluate there. So I would, if Division I baseball is a goal, know that recruiting calendar. It's available on the NCAA website, and it gives you all the dates because there's, a lot of money makers out there, and there's no coaches that can be there. There can be other levels. I don't want to speak for everyone, but for Division I, just, if that's what you're looking for, just know that recruiting calendar. But the other thing is, we kind of work off lists that we're going to see specific players at a lot of these events, and we know there's a lot of other good players that we may see. So we go talk to coaches. We, like you said, we have a network of people that we trust, and there's alumni that call us. There's former scouts that I know that reach out. There's advisors. There's a ton of people that want to help and want to give information about players. There's recruiting services. There's a ton of ways to get. And obviously, there's social media. There's Twitter. We'll scroll through that, and if a video catches our eye, I get tons of emails daily. So there's a bunch of avenues to get on the radar. And it could come down to we have certain needs. So, if we're full on pitching for a certain recruiting class, you may be a really good pitcher, but we just don't have a need at the time. So we may take the name down. We may follow up if something happens where, an injury or someone, doesn't pull their weight academically. But yeah, a lot of times it's not that we don't like certain players. It's just, there's maybe necessarily we don't have a need in that area. So that comes down to it as well. And any red flags would probably just, be a guy that is, not carrying himself well in the field. He just kind of big leagues it out, doesn't, hustle, bad body language, and unfortunately sometimes parents could ruin it for a kid as well because, they're just bringing unwanted attention to them, and that could be a red flag, a parent just screaming at a kid, and it's not the end all be all, but it definitely grabs our attention, and we'd have to definitely dig into that more.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And this question, I got to tell you, it's really kind of along the same lines, but I'd feel remiss if I didn't ask you about it. And you've already touched on so many of the aspects anyway, but I'm just thinking about the overall landscape of recruiting and how much it's changed in just the last couple of years. Almost as soon as you hit Cal State Fullerton, last year, I mean, so much changed. I mean, the contact period, as you alluded to earlier for Division I, that changed. The transfer portal from just a couple of years ago really changed the dynamic of the game tremendously. And really, if you go back even a couple of more years, that COVID, creating certainly 5-year players, but 6-year players as well, that had a tremendous impact. And so as I kind of think about all of these pieces that are happening, what kind of advice could you potentially maybe give uncommitted prospects and their families to kind of just help them navigate just the overall recruiting landscape right now?
Yeah, there is a lot going on. We're still daily dealing with it and trying to figure out what's the best way to attack it. We have guys currently on our team, and we think that they're a senior, but they have another year of eligibility. So, we're trying to make sure we know our team. And, secondly, we're out there trying to, navigate through all those things you said, the transfer portal, the COVID. And I think the other thing that has impacted college baseball as well is there's only a 20 round draft. There's not as many minor league positions available. We've had several players that in the past would have been great, organizational players, senior signs, but there's just not a place for those guys anymore. There's not enough room. So that in itself is impacting college baseball. So I, as a player and a family, be patient, keep working, find a level that you can play at. I know, a lot of people look at junior college like it's below them, but I was a junior college player, junior college coach, and it still allowed me to get to the Division I level, which was the ultimate goal, and even beyond that, pro ball. But if I wouldn't have done that, I probably wouldn't have gotten to where I have. So I know everybody wants to go Division I, but everyone's path is different. You need to play, in my opinion, to continue to grow and develop. If you're not playing, it's hard to do that. So find a level that you can continue to develop. And we recruit out of junior college. The portal, like you mentioned, we've used it some to fill some needs, but our goal and our philosophy is to have guys here for 3 to 4 years and develop them. We don't want to be shopping in the portal every year. It's not as appealing and great. I think there's more guys in it still than care to be. So that's really not going to be, the landscape that we want to work through. But every program's different, and just do your homework on each place and what potentially their needs are, and how they recruit, who they recruit.
Man, what great advice all the way around. And I got to tell you, something that really jumped out at me was, man, look for a place that you can play at. Because I think I've heard somebody say in the past, and it's such wise words, that the real objective of playing college baseball is playing college baseball. So I think that's fantastic advice. And I mean, you can progress in your career literally at any level, but you want to go somewhere where you can absolutely play. So, man, this is just really, really good advice. And again, this has been a great night, man. I can't thank you enough for hopping on. I mean, I know you're in the middle of a very, very busy week. Hey, you're 3 days into it. You're talking about inter squads that are coming up. I know from our pre-conversation here, man, you're sitting in the office. And just to take time to really have a great conversation and just kind of go over some very important details for guys that are out there trying to figure out how to get to the next level. That's big stuff, man. And I just can't thank you enough. And hey, man, I hope you've enjoyed this evening as well.
No, it's been great. If I know I was in those seats and wanting to play and continue to play just because I love this game and it's given me so much opportunity. And, I pinch myself every day that I've been able to make a living, in this game. So if I can give any advice or help one person out there, I definitely relish in that.
Man, we certainly appreciate that. And maybe we ought to wrap it up with maybe that one last question here. As I'm kind of thinking about really young guys, maybe guys that are just entering their freshman year of high school. And you know what? They're really good ball players, and they want to be good for as long as they can be good. What kind of advice would you give them now that would probably set them up for as much success as they can have?
I think just never be satisfied. Continue to work. If you have dreams and goals, I mean, just continue to chase them. I mean, I always look back and, I was cut my freshman year in high school baseball. And, as devastating as that was, that just made me want to work harder and prove people wrong. So, sometimes doors are going to be shut, but you got to bust through them, and you just got to keep grinding and keep working, never be satisfied. Like I said, if there's a dream and there's a goal, just continue to chase them. And if you get to that goal or dream, don't be satisfied with that, get on to the next one. So, and I think a lot of kids that are good and do, maybe commit early, and that'll slow down as well, just because with the new rules. But, you'd see a lot of kids commit when they're 8th grade, 9th grade, and then they just kind of stayed the same. I think they lost that desire, that hunger, and, maybe that was the goal, just to commit. But I don't think just committing should be the goal. It should be, wanting to be an impactful player and, winning player.
Man, thank you, Coach Belovsky. And I got to tell you, that is fantastic advice. Here's somebody that's talking about being cut his freshman year to graduating high school at 6'3", 165, throwing 82, 83 miles an hour, goes through two junior colleges, progresses to Texas Tech, ends up at the University of Kansas, takes a step back, goes into independent ball, does a little bit of coaching on the side, and then ends up going into the major leagues with the Red Sox. And oh, by the way, at that time he's 6'3", 200 pounds, and throwing low to mid 90s. I mean, that's really, really remarkable. And I know people that are listening to you understand what you're talking about. You lived it. You went through. This isn't advice that you're just given from an ivory tower. This was your life, man. You absolutely did it. And I know that you're going to connect with a lot of people tonight, man. And I just really absolutely appreciate it. And I wish you nothing but the best of success. And I wish nothing but the best of success for Cal State Fullerton too. I think they're in great hands. And man, I think they had a big turnaround even last year. And I think you guys are just going to keep going on the up and up. And I'll tell you, I'll end it with this, man. I hope we're able to stay in touch as well. And maybe next year or something like that, man, maybe if you can come back on and give us a little refresher as well, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, Alan. I really appreciate it. And, it's great what you're doing for, young baseball players, and giving them information and giving them a platform. And I think it's awesome what you're doing as well.
Man, thank you for the kind words. And I tell you what, I can't think of a better way to end it than that. So with that, thank you for everybody that dialed in. Thank you again, Coach Belovsky. And we're going to say good night. Hey, let me ask you something. Are you ready to dominate at the plate this season? Blast Baseball is the #1 hitting improvement solution, trusted by more major league, college, and travel ball teams than any other. The Blast sensor attaches to the knob of any bat, providing real-time feedback with every swing. Metrics are automatically sent to a smartphone app, generating insights that allow you to analyze and improve your hitting like never before. Go to blastmotion.com and enter code NOWD1, and you will save $25 at checkout. Unlock your potential with Blast.